so today I want to show you this card. Now this was actually a requested card, so it was requested from Anne on Pinterest, and she sent me a pin by scrapwithsteph.com, so I used that to try and work out the card. Now the pin that she sent didn't have the measurements in it, so I had to work out the measurements myself. I think the measurements are slightly smaller than what I would normally do, or they're in centimetres. I think they're in centimetres, and I normally work in inches. But anyway, yeah, so that's the card we're doing. So it's a 5x7 multi-pillar pop-up card. I'm not sure the exact name, but that's the name I've given it because that kind of fits it. So this is my sample card. So on the front, I've got dye from Rosa Studio. So if you use my code ICE20, you'll get yourself 20% off. And then I've used, this is a tonic dye, and I'm not sure if they're still available. I think I have seen some on like various, you know, auction sites and whatever, but yeah, I'm not sure whether they're still available or not. And then this is actually not a pattern paper, it's strips of pattern paper from one of the Love to Craft paper pads, and then also some of the washi tape from, so these two here are some of the Dovecraft washi tape. And then I've used the Dovecraft rainbow mirrored card to cut out. And then inside, this is where the magic happens. Ta-da! You've got your little multi-pillars. And again, I've just used all the same sort of things. These dies, I think that was an In Love Arts die, but I'll link everything that I can in the description below anyway. But this is what we're doing today. So this multi-pillar pop-up card. So yeah, so it's really quite cool. You've got space on the back to write. So that's what we're going to make today. So let's get into it. Okay, so on my sample card, as you can see, I had this sort of teal coloured base card. And then on the inside, I actually used the matte for the pop-up section. So I've decided to do the same for this one. So I was going to have the blue is going to be my base, so what this teal was. And then the white piece is going to be this piece in the middle. But to start with, these need to be the same. It just makes it easier for scoring. So basically you've got two pieces here that are 7 by 10. So the first piece, which is my base piece, so if you're doing two different colours, then just make sure you know which one is going to be your outer. So your outer piece is you're just going to score halfway at 5 inches, and this is just going to make a 5x7 card blank. And obviously, if you want to use just a normal 5x7 card blank, you can. So that is just your normal 5x7 card blank. Okay, so then on this one, now this one we're going to score, I'm just going to score it all over top to bottom. You'll see, when I put it together, you'll see that you don't need score lines everywhere. If you want to faff around and make sure that it, you know, you kind of only score where you need it, you can. But I just find it easier just to score. So we're going to score it at 1 1/4, at 2 1/2, at 3 3/4, and at 5, and then at 6 1/4, 7 1/2, 8 3/4, and you are done. Right, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to turn it sideways. I've got obviously all my score lines going that way. And on this second score line here, I'm just going to measure down from the side, and I'm going to mark at 1 inch, at 2 inch, and then at, well, I'm going to do all of them, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You won't need some of the middle ones on this line. You'll see what I mean in a minute. And then I'm going to come in 2 lines in here and do the same again. Okay, so now what we're going to do, and if you want, you can draw these on to make sure you definitely get the right ones. I'm going to wing it and hope for the best. So the first cut line needs to be, so if this is your first score line, you want to go from your second score line to your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. So you're going to cut, you're going to line those 2 dots up, and you're going to cut from your 2nd to your 5th. So 5th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th score line. So we're going to go from here, and we're going to cut across until we reach the 6th score line. And we're going to do the same at the bottom. So on this bottom mark, we're going to do exactly the same. So from that all the way across until you get to that one there, like that. Next, we want to come down one, so we're going to come to this mark here. And on this mark, what we're going to do is we're going to cut from the first score line through to the third score line. So from the first through to the third, then we stop, and then we go from the last score line through to this score line, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from the 5th to the 7th score line, like that. And you can do the same at the bottom. So that next mark up that you've done, you're going to repeat the same cuts. So I find it useful to do the top and then do the bottom, because you're kind of mirroring it. And then we're going to go for the middle lines, which is this one here. Excuse any noises you can hear in the background, that's the bin men. And then this is the centre line, so you're just going to cut from the one over here to here. So you're going to cut either side of that centre score line. So we're going to cut to there like that, and then you kind of come down to the line below. So I've got my little marks in there, and we're going to do the same again. Okay, so that is what you should end up with. So you can see why, you know, it's just easier just to do your score lines all the way top to bottom, because then you've got something to work from, where you're stopping, where you're starting, etc. So where your little pencil marks are, you can go ahead and rub those out. Now obviously, as I said, you're going to end up with, you've got score lines places that you're not actually going to score and fold, but you know, once you've got all your pattern papers on, it doesn't really matter too much. So now what we want to do is we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to fold these up, and then we'll decorate. So this one here and this one here, so these two need to be valleys. So I'm going to start on this side and kind of work my way across. So this needs to be a valley, that needs to be a mountain, and then these two need to be valleys, but that needs to not be folded. I think that's how it works. I think that's right, or the whole thing's valley, I'm not sure, let me have a look. No, that needs to not be folded. Okay, so we're literally going to just coax it. Now, I would definitely advise that you don't go too thick with your card. This is about a 200, I would say, roughly. And you really don't want to go much thicker than that. So you can see I'm just kind of coaxing it. Then here we've also got a valley. And then here we have nothing at all. But this one in the middle is a mountain. Now this whole thing needs to be folded. So let's just fold the whole thing in half. Like this. And then what we can do is just pop the bits back that need to be back. So that needs to be, this needs to be a mountain, this needs to be a mountain, but these three are all valleys. So that is going to go back like that. That is going to go back like that. And this middle one is just going to pop back as well, like that. Okay, so then we just need to, so we've got a valley there, we've got a valley here. So then we just need to kind of pop all of this through and bring it down. Okay, so I've kind of half folded that one side. So I'm going to turn it around and we're going to repeat the same on this side. So again, a valley here and a mountain. It is a bit, this is definitely fiddly. It's a bit tricky, but you just kind of have to be patient with it and not do it in a rush. And then once you've kind of got it roughly to where you want it, very carefully kind of fold it down. Just keep checking you definitely got the right bits folded, and then you can give it an all over burnish so that it all goes into the right positions. So you should end up with that. So that's your middle section. So now what we need to do, because at the moment this is the same size as your outer, which means you won't end up with any border on the inside. So what I'm going to need to do now is just trim off 1/8 of an inch on all four sides, So I'm going to flatten it out again. In fact, you can, I mean, you can do this before you start folding it up if you want. So I'm now going to go and trim 1/8 off all 4 sides. Okay, so I've taken off 1/8 off all 4 sides. So you should end up now with this section here, because these are 1.25 inches, but these 2 end sections should now be 1 1/8 inches. And then these 2 side sections here were 1 inch, and they should now be 7/8. Both of them should be 7/8. So we've done that because then if you get your base card back in again, when you stick this in, you should end up with a border all the way around. So if that's nice and snug up against the corner, you know, the crease line, the middle crease line there, then you've got a nice border all the way around. So that's what you're after. So before we stick it down, I'm going to go ahead and decorate it up. So I've cut out a whole load of pieces. Now it's really up to you how you want to decorate. So I'm just going to bring in a quick picture, which is in my little notebook. I don't know if you can see this. So that's what it looks like. And if you can see, I've kind of color coded. So all of the A's are purple, all of the B's are orange, C's are yellow, D's are green, E's are pink. Okay, so it depends on how you want to decorate it. If you want to, you could make B so it goes all the way over here, and then A only goes from here up to here. Or if you want, you could only do A here and have these pieces all the same length, and then have like a square in the top there where it'd be slightly rectangular. But I've just chosen that's how I'm decorating things, but it's really up to you how you decorate it. It's different ways you can decorate it. This is literally just a guide. So I've got 10 pieces that are 3/4 inch by 1, and these are going to go on here. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick them down rather than trying to lay them on, because it'll just fall off. Okay, so that is those pieces stuck on. So next we need to do these pieces here. So these are what I call my A pieces. So these are going to go just either side, there and there. Okay, so that's those pieces put on. Now we've got these ones. So these, sorry, I didn't give you the measurements. These are 1 inch by 6.5. Then I've got 2 of those. Then I've got 4 of these pieces, which are 3/4 by 3.5. And these are going to go at the top here and at the bottom here. Okay, so that's what you end up with. You might find that these pieces here end up being a little bit too big, because obviously you've trimmed the 1/8 inch off. So if you want to trim those down, you can. It's really up to you. I've just had to, most of them I've managed to kind of just do, but this one I did have to trim. So just bear that in mind. So next we're going to deal with these pieces. So this is 4 pieces that are 1 inch by 2 3/4. And these are going to go on these pieces here. Right, and then the last few pieces we've got are these 2 here. I've decided to go blue again. I went very blue on this. You need 4 pieces that are 1 inch by 1 3/4. So they're obviously just going to go there and there and there and there. So there you go, that's fully decorated. So now we can bring in our other piece. Now before we go ahead and stick this inside, let's just deal with the front of this. So on the front here, I've cut out 2 pieces of white matte card, and these are 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So one's going to go on the front and one's going to go on the back. Now this is also going to double up as my white piece that I'm then going to put my message on. So if you've got a coloured mat, so this is not white and it's a different colour, and you need to put a white piece on, then your white piece will need to be 4.5 by 6.5 for the back. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick these on, and I'm also going to add this piece of pattern paper, which is 4.5 by 6.5, and that's going to go on the front. Okay, so there you go, there's your front done and your back. So all we need to do is stick this in. So I'm going to use wet glue. I do find it a bit easier. Just going to make sure my crease lines are nice and sharp. And then what we need to do is I'm going to add some glue. You can add red tape. I'm going to do one side at a time. And it's basic to everything you can see there, apart from obviously that bit there. So just going to go ahead and add some glue. And then we're going to take this and I'm just going to make sure it's nicely nudged up against that crease line there. And then just stick it in. And again, make sure you've got a nice even border. Just going to shut it on it. Now mine's ended up, the other one didn't do this, but this one has ended up with the insides poking out a little bit. It doesn't matter too much because you are going to, you know, it's going to mostly be hidden. Because it's obviously going to be displayed open, so it's not a massive problem. So there we go, and then we're just going to go ahead and add some more glue on here. I think the only reason it's standing out is maybe my folds weren't quite, you know, my measurements weren't quite up to scratch. So I'm just going to close this card onto it, and then I'm just going to open it up and just make sure I haven't got any wonky borders, which I haven't, so that's good. They all look pretty much okay. And so there you go, there's your inner, and then all you need to do is just decorate. Now obviously on the inside, whatever you decorate, you need to just be very careful. So with my original, I just stuck everything flat to the card. I didn't have anything going over edges. It all stayed within its parameters, because when you close it, everything on the ends here, you don't want anything going over the edges, because then that's going to stick out. So you just have to bear that in mind. You can have stuff going up over here. So if you wanted to have something going over there, you could, or over here you could, because when you shut it, as long as it doesn't go above the top and bottom, then you're okay. But as far as coming out this way, you can't really do it. So just bear that in mind. So I'm going to decorate this another time. But on the front, what I am going to do is stick a couple of butterflies, which I've already cut out. This is from my Sunflower Days pack. And we're just going to stick those on there like that, and then I'm going to leave it blank for a sentiment. I'll probably put a sentiment down here. I'm not sure what I want it to be yet, so I'm just going to literally stick these down and then leave it as blank until I know what I want to do with it. So there we go. So there's your finished, well, semi-finished, apart from a greeting card. A little bit of decoration in the middle is needed. But yeah, so that's that. So as you can see, it does fold flat for a 5x7 envelope. It is a little bit chunky, but it's not too bad. So if I hadn't have added this on the front, that probably would go through our post in the UK. Because it's, yeah, I have kept it quite low on the thicknesses of the card. Also, just a little side note, I had a live stream a week or so ago, and someone asked me about the advantages of silicone glue. So I haven't done on this one, but I could have. So where I've curled the edges of these butterfly wings, if I wanted to, I could put some silicone glue into those wings, so that then when it dries and this goes through the post, it won't squash this flat. So at the moment, there's nothing underneath those wings. So when it goes through the post, it will squash it flat. But if you're hand delivering and you want it to be like nice and 3D when they get it, you can put bits of some silicone glue underneath and just wad it out, so that then it stays roundy and it doesn't squash flat. So that's one of the advantages of silicone glue. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. Please go and check out Cocoa Studio. Have a look at their dies. Use my code ICE20 to get yourself 20% off. Also go and check out my Etsy shop. This is Sunflower Days. I've got quite a few packs over there. But go and check that out. That'll be on the screen now. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!